Three, two.
Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 13th, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies that I personally utilize to guide just about every move I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, I've got, just before I get into this, I should have done it beforehand. Stream is up. I don't need this because I won't be sending pictures as far as I'm aware. Shut that down. Now, anyway, people, this week, as we know, we are looking at multiracial species. Today, we're going to be looking at the reptilians. But before I get into that, let's start up here. And we have Philip, you are in with the gold. Welcome back. I don't recall seeing you in a while, but I am glad you made it. And what have we got going on? Hopefully things are, having coffee with ice. What, pray tell? Oh, I do not believe it. That annoys me to no end. So I'm going to do something that's extremely rare. Not forgetting something, but I'm going to go grab my coffee. I left it in the money. Okay, I have that. Sorry about that, guys. We have to keep priorities straight now, don't we? Anyway, now let's try and do that the proper way. Not so much for that idea. We have Philip in with the gold, and Philip, it's your fault I remembered my coffee, so thank you very much for that. Robert White is talking to us from the future. Apparently, he goes, "Hi from the next day." So, Robert, you are in with the silver. And we have Rachel in right behind you with the bronze. And then what we got? Well, Rachel, where did you go? Rachel is in with the bronze. And Renee is in right behind her with honorable mention. LA, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And I'll tell you, LA, it is getting far more. The whole trip down south is getting to be a whole lot more enticing than what I was expecting, but it's going to be a lot of work on my part, and on yours for that matter. But okay, now we are dealing with reptilians today, and again, guys, if you've got questions, doesn't matter what the topic, even if it's not what we're discussing right now. Okay, it literally boils down to, if you've got a question, pop it in the chat room, drop me a note, I will do my best to answer it. And what do we got here? Just outside the beef capital, Robert goes, Central Old. I'm just outside of the beef capital, Rockhampton. Well, I'm a firm believer that beef is a good thing. I know a lot of people go, "Oh, you should stop eating meat." I'm a carnivore. It ain't going to happen. But I got a little carried away. And the reason I started looking at reptilians was this. I still, to this day, no matter how often we talk about it, I still, to this day, get people calling me up or making comments on live feed. They're in constant contact with reptilians. Okay, which sounds like they're lumping everybody together. Now, there is one person that I know knows the answer because I just mentioned it, so I'm just going to politely ask and not say anything. Just to put things in perspective, well, we'll go back here. 1977, there was a movie came out called V, okay, which revolved around reptilians infiltrating our planet, taking over the position of CEOs, of government officials, of royalty. And this was it spawned a series that ran 5 years until 1982. This, in my opinion, is where this whole concept of the reptilians came into play. Okay, now let me ask you this: if they're all the same, let me ask you if anybody has any clue. Like I said, one person knows. I just finished telling them, but any clue how many different species of reptilians we actually have? Okay, I'm just going to give people a moment to think about that one. Where are we here? I am going to move that over. I can actually read it. Yeah, LA goes, movies and such have a great deal to do with people's fears and misgivings. Absolutely, they do. You know, I mean, the reality of it, from my standpoint, I watched a show back in the early 60s called Day of the Spider. Now, you'd think that wouldn't have created a problem, considering the fact the spider in question was 50 feet in diameter. The lengthspan was 50 feet. I had nightmares for weeks. You know, but what we are. Okay. Well, anyway, here's the thing. People talk about reptilians being all one. So let's do one quick little modification here. See, the Sarkon, the Kamalian, the Strazazian, and the Tormenon are all related. They're literally all descended from the same species. Turns out you're going to love this one, guys. We only just discovered it here, but the Zeta Reticulans are from human Terran standard. The Zeta Reticulans are a reptilian race. Okay, they've got, instead of having scales, they've got leathery skin. There are reptiles that have leathery skin. Okay, which really boils down to really, really fine scales. But here's the kicker. I just went through my list, like through both books that I've already got on the go. Combined, we have 18, a dozen and a half different reptiles. Okay, now I refer to them as reptilian because they resemble reptiles on Earth. Okay, now that was just glancing through it. I may have more. I probably do. Understand the bipedal form is interesting setup. But when we take a look at that, we've got 18 of them. These guys do not all get along. As a matter of fact, when you look at the ones we just talked about, the Sarkon, the Kamalian, the Strazazian, and the Tormenon, well, the Strazazian are at war with the Teklek directly. Okay, the Sarkon aren't at war with anybody. They just want to rule everything when it's all said and done. Although I can see there being a bit of a problem with the Sarkon really trying to control the Ararahar or the Arara. Okay, both of which are absolutely huge. Understand the Ararahar is what you know they call themselves that. You know them as dragons. The Arara, you would know if you're a gamer as a wyvern. The difference being dragons have 4 legs, wyverns have too. Okay, but your wyverns are, 25, 30 feet long. Sarcon are 15. And you start looking at the Ararahar, you're looking at critters that are 200 feet long. They're going to just eat somebody if they get the move. Joe Stewart, how are you? Glad you could join us. Just seeing what if I missed anything here. Nope, not by the look of it. Yeah, LA goes, I've seen some pretty big spiders down here in New Mexico. Tarantulas are quite large. Yeah, I've seen tarantulas in a cage. But am I going to go looking for them? I wouldn't hold my breath. Oh, nice. Yeah. Joe just got things set up so he can enjoy tonight. And regarding his view screen out the back window. I wouldn't know, Philip. I've never tried either. Well, no, that's not true. I've tried crap. The short end, like Philip's asking, can all 18 different reptilians make it to Earth and survive in our atmosphere? Well, number one, could they make it here? Yes. Not all of them have ships, but because they're members of the consortium, the answer is they could make it. As far as being able to survive on Earth, no doubt. But some of them, because like the Philosophians, for instance, they come to Earth. They come from a high density arid planet. Okay. Which, man, when I mean high density, I mean as in close to double mankind's. Double the gravity of Earth. So you're looking at somebody, very dense armor. Don't shoot them with a pistol. It's going to bounce. So, but can they get here? Yes. Are any of them trying to take over Earth? No. Although I will tell you, the Tactilic, if they had their option, would. But they don't want to take Earth over. They just want to come down for munchies. They originally wanted to strip mine the place and found out that humans were here, and much more importantly, they were a wonderful treat. But when we're looking at 18 different races, okay, we are looking at a staggering amount of creatures. And if they all of a sudden start walking around on Earth, now these guys range from a kid you not, the smallest, from about 3 to 5 inches as an adult, the tallest to about 240, 250 feet. Okay, needless to say, with that in mind, now the neat little thing with the Ararahar is they have evolved to the point they spend most of their time in the astral plane. Okay, so not everybody stays on the physical level. But I did see a video the other day, which was priceless. And of course, I am no videographer. Okay, but I saw a video that showed what I swear looked like an Ararahar. I also saw there was an archaeological find about 10 years ago in England that found the remains of a they said it was a reptile. Quite frankly, it was a baby fire-breathing Ararahar. The reality of it is that both of the nasal fluids, one was absolutely clear, the other one was charred black. Okay. Needless to say, this means we're looking at fire breathing. See, now all you got to do there, LA, is when you're getting spiders that big, just get a whole bunch of them on a leash. And now you got yourself a different type of dog sled. You know, one of the things we got to look at with reptilians, first and foremost, you got to remember, most of these guys are technologically involved, most advanced. Most of them are carnivore, and they do not have that compunction about eating in the middle of a fight. Okay, you know, grabbing a snack, it's like, I'm a little hungry, you'll do. They don't have a problem with it. The thing you got to realize is they are far more, you know, they are far more interested in the creative side of things in most cases. Okay, you take a look at the Zotar, okay, which are little guys. They look like little geckos. Okay, they are much more interested in the creative side. They're not exactly built for combat. Okay, I do question whether the Burundi are reptilian based. Lord knows they're a nasty little crew. But one thing we got to realize with reptilians, they run on a very simple philosophy. Everybody's fair game for dinner. Most of them are not only, like they are carnivorous. I've yet to run into a reptilian that wasn't a carnivore. Okay, I've run into some that will eat some vegetation, but usually it's flavored with the carnivore, with the meat that was on it. You know, quite probably, Philip, not knowing much in the way of the folklore, I can tell you that Strazazians are in Canada and the U.S. I can tell you the Chitawari are based out of Africa. Okay, the Quaddle are based out of Mexico. The other ones are scattered all over half acre, and many of them are aquatic. Okay, meaning you'll find them in the water as well. But I do question with some of the entities that I've seen, some of the few that I've seen in the way of mythology, in the way of folklore, could probably fit. You know, I mean, I do have, and I'm not going to go looking for it right now. There is a race that looks like craft. Okay, many of the different races I've got, like I said, bipedal racial form is actually an ineffective form. And Nathan is here. Nathan, how you doing? You know, nice part about it, I'm actually kind of surprised to see you here this early. But what we're looking at with Nathan, of course, he's got a show tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific. You know, drop in, give him his actual first show is on at 7. Drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Where are we here? Oh. You know, one of the important factors we have to realize, and it really is time to people, in my opinion, I don't mind, like, I am not the only person that deals with these off-worlders. But for people to consistently push this issue of the aliens are going to attack and take us over. Guys, if it was going to happen, it would have happened a long time ago. That said, you know, everybody keeps telling me, oh, I deal with them all the time, and, you know, we've been talking to make sure they don't attack. They don't have an interest in attacking on the whole. You know, are they here? Absolutely. But I'm just going to give you a rundown now. I literally went and put the list together. Where are we here? I forgot to put one little detail. Okay. in Races of the World, the first book. In this one, we have the Chitauri, the Sarkon, which you may have known as Drakes before, or Alpha Draconis. Then you've got the Kamalians, the Strazazians, the Tormenon. Now, the Sarkon, Kamalian, Strazazian, Tormenon, I did a show a while ago on that specific branch, because the Sarkon is the root branch for the root race for the other three. And then we have the Teklik as well. Plus, of course, there we are. And the Zotar. So in book 1, I keep cutting myself off here. The Reticulans are, by the way, also, as it turns out, reptilian in nature. And we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But in book 1, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have a dozen of them in book 1. Right now, I've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, another 7, so I'm apparently not able to count. Okay, but I've got another 7 in book 2. Reptilians are not all related. And just categorically going, oh, reptilians are this way, is like saying humans are this way. And you just can't effectively do that. What do we got here? Not a problem there, Nathan. Oh, there you go. Joe's just letting us know that they saw an orb last night. Oh. Go back up. Yeah, the white light was moving up in the air. That does not say, that doesn't surprise me. They don't have to just read and just bypass. It's just one of the things they quite often do, especially if they're in a hurry to get out of the way. But reptilians, we got to realize, first and foremost, most of them are hatched, are still born in eggs. The mother still lays the egg. Most of them are laid in a nursery, or more to the point, they're moved to a nursery once they're laid in order to take care of them. So very few of the reptilians actually know who their actual parents are. Now, the Chitauri are one of those rare races, where they actually know who their parent is because they are raised by the parent. You also got to remember with the Chitauri, based out of Africa, they are the only reptilian race I know of that has 5 fingers, or more than 0.4 fingers and a thumb. Most of the rest have 3. But they all have, no, they do not. They have either talons, claws, or in the case of the Zotar, they've got suction cups. Because the Zotar are scalers. They're quick, but they're scalers. And what we got to realize here is the moment you start looking at reptilians and going, the reptilians on a blanket, you might as well, if you're looking at reptilians as a blanket race, you may as well look at humans and go, humans all behave this fashion. Now, I don't know about you, but there's a bit of a problem with that for me. I run into a lot of humans, and rest assured, I share the view of many of you. My ex-wife actually called me the only true racist I ever knew that she'd ever met. I looked at her and I says, you can't run that by me again. She goes, well, think about it. Everybody else looks at the person's skin color, looks at the person's, their political alignment, who they're sleeping with, what they believe in the way of theology. Everybody breaks this down. She goes, "You're the only person I've ever met that looks at every human the same way and goes, you're all off your nut." And the reality is, I'm the last one to talk about it. Okay, although I do have the benefit of several Terran trained psychiatrists, absolutely corroborating the fact my mind works fine. Where it comes to reptilians, you got to realize one little detail: humans talk. Reptilians, on the whole, some of the bigger ones even more so than the other ones, they do not talk things through. Okay, they state their opinion. If there's a problem, they don't fight to get in. When we talk about humans fighting in a knockdown fight, we're talking closed fist, punch and beat them until the person usually just gives up the fight. Reptilians, if they get into a fight, they're going for blood. They don't bother with this idea of trying to make it look reasonable. But let's try and deal with these a little at a time. And again, if you guys have a question, absolutely ask. Now, we look at the Cheetawari. These guys are they are not combative. Okay, they are one of these people that are rather on the creative side. Where is? What did I do with it? Of course, I put it on the other side of the room. The reality is the Cheetawari are very creative, and very relaxed for the most part. They are extremely family oriented. So you really don't have a problem there. When you deal with, that's them. And like I said, they've been here and they evolved. There's a number of them that evolved on Earth. Okay, the Cheetawari are just the ones that are on the surface that are easy to find relatively speaking. But some of the other ones that are on Earth, okay, if you look at I forgot to mark that down. I'd have to go through them. But there are 5, I think, that essentially look like snakes. 1, 2, 3. 3 that I see right off the bat that essentially look like a snake. Okay, mind you, in the case of, for instance, the Naga. Now, the Naga happen to be, they have a snake-like body, but they've also got 2 arms. They still travel the same way snakes do. Lay down and scoot. Okay, but needless to say, the Naga are not related to the Ararahar. Okay, they are not even from the same genome. They simply look similar to Terran snakes. This is why I've got in the books, I've got them as far as human designation goes. Now when we take a look at the Sarkon, they tend to be 15 feet tall. Okay, at least. Many of them will range upwards of 30. Okay, and of course, the older you are, the taller you get, it seems. That's very much what happens with the Ararahar and the Arara. Okay, as they get older, they get bigger. They don't do what humans do. You reach a certain point and stop growing. Although I have noticed in today's society, a lot of humans growing, they grow to a certain height, and then because they stop moving, they start growing this way. They start growing wide. Now, I'm not going to pick on people that are overweight. I was myself. Okay. But I will tell you this. Eating less and moving more works if you're interested in dropping weight for you. You really got to be careful talking to Strazazians about losing weight, though. you go, some of them, they've just got a real twisted idea on it. You look at them and go, I'd really love to lose 10, to lose 10 pounds. And it's like, your arm's gone. What we got here? What? Oh, honestly, Philip, that would be somebody else's department. The best I can tell you, I'm presuming there, Philip, you're referring to, are there references to the Naga in some of the folklore? And, I think I would be more inclined to say that either Nathan or LA would have likely heard about them in the way of that sort of thing. Oh, okay. Joe comes up with yes. See, the thing is, I don't research, but absolutely, and this is why I love the people in this chat room for the most part, because we get answers even if I don't have them, but I will tell you, the Naga are not exactly a pushover race. Well, that's one. Yeah. Well, Joe, I've been known to be up at 3 and 4 in the morning quite consistently lately. But where are we here? Yeah. Nathan goes, the inhabitants of the church also here tolerate me, but I get stern looks sometimes. Oh, he goes, they're ghosts. Yeah, but if you treat ghosts like people, they'll be fine. Every time I meet a ghost, I tell them if they want to come to my place, would you mind leaving my stuff alone? But you're welcome to come and hang out. Now, reptilians are a wonderful group. And no, all of them do not shed like snakes. Matter of fact, very few of them shed like snakes. But now the Quaddle they literally are a winged race they are centered down in South and Central America. Okay. And they are an interesting race. But they are very high on the intellect level. You do remember, Nathan, that ghosts themselves don't technically sleep a lot. They just hide during the day. I'm wondering if I did that. I got way too much information running around in my head and too many ideas. It becomes intriguingly complicated. Yeah. Now, I overlooked that. I should have seen which ones actually come with ships. But the Quaddle here I was just looking at, they definitely aren't from here. But the Quaddle have a neat little ability to shift between the physical plane and the astral. But let's understand something very much. The astral plane is still in the third dimension. Like I said, anything that can be seen and or registered on Earth is third dimensional. And yeah, I know there's people out there that'll talk about there's a fifth dimension, etc. They exist, just not on this planet. Now, of course, it should go without saying that whatever I'm talking about is my opinion, especially given that I don't research any of it. I just wake up remembering it. Like, I wish I had a deal. I just came across another race in my notes that gets added in pretty short order. But yeah. I'm thinking, of course, I'm a sheep disturber there, Joe. I remember when I was growing up, we used to have a standing joke that people were dying to get in. They were lining up and dying to get into the cemetery. Of course, what they weren't telling people was they get in there and find out it was boring as heck and get up and leave. By the way, for those of you that are hoping to run into a reptilian, you may not do so this lifetime, but you can bet your bottom dollar when you pass away, when you're going down to check, when you're going through to check out the next life, you will meet a lot of them because they all go to the same place. You all end up in the same spot that many religions refer to as purgatory and or limbo. Okay, I'll tell you, it's a riot there, but I've been there. One of the things that we got to remember though is, and it just frustrates me with the number of people telling me still that reptilians are controlling the world. Okay, reptilians are not that much different than humans, aside from clearly their appearance. Okay, and needless to say, bearing in mind most of them lay and give birth to kids and eggs, we can safely say humans don't tend to do that. At least I don't recall a human being born inside an egg. One of the neat things about it is when we take a look at these. Now, I just keep looking at the different races and going, okay, I've met these guys. I know who they are, right? I don't always know them by the same name you guys do. This is why when people ask me, well, do you know of this race called such and such? How about if we go with, give me some particulars of what the thing is, and I may know it by a different name, at which point I may have a whole lot of other info for you. And rest assured, even though, where are we here? Where is book 2? No, I don't need book 2. I need book 1, Dornum. What I'm actually looking for here is to see how far we are. There we are. Black. We are totally done, like ready for print. To 1/5 of the page of the book is ready for print. Okay, and we are going through it. We'll be getting a lot more done over the next week here. Last time we went through, on Monday I went through, I think 13 pages. Right. So we are going to cook them off pretty quick. One of the neatest things, and something I would love your guys' input in before I get too much further down the road with this, because once it comes out, all my attention goes to the other books I'm working on. One of the things we got to remember with reptilians, humans have to rely on building weapons, for self-defense. I mean, let's face it, humans on the whole don't have fangs, they don't have claws, and their bones are not built for beating people to death. Okay. That said, most reptilians come equipped with natural grown armor, natural grown weapons. Okay. And a nasty liking for flesh. Which means they got no problem literally eating your face off. Okay. But much as their table manners are a little interesting, on the whole, you're still dealing with very family oriented people. There we go. Yeah, and we do appreciate it there, Joe. I mean, you got one of these wonderful terrariums there. We'll use the term living a little loosely. It's a cemetery. But understand, some of the reptilians wandering around are actually on Earth. They're hard to see on occasion because many of them, like the Zeta Reticulans, know how to camouflage. They know how to disappear into the woods. Okay, Zotar, well, let's face it, at 3 to 5 inches tall, they just don't stand out well. You know, that's just the reality behind that side of it. And then when we go at it, if you look, and I mentioned this before, on YouTube somewhere, there's a picture of a couple of reptilians running through the sewers of New York. At least there was. Now, those reptilians are, I can't tell you if the film was photoshopped, but I can tell you what it showed is a perfect rendition of Teklak. Okay. So yeah, working in the New York subway, in the New York sewer system, has became dangerous a long time ago. Now, people have talked about, when you're looking at dinosaurs and how they evolved, dinosaurs evolved into the birds of today. Unless you look at some of the specific ones. Yes, they definitely did. But they have a common ancestor, at least by appearance. The T-Rex, for instance. Okay. The T-Rex, literally, when you look at what are we here? At the Rarcaw. The Rarcaw were T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Much as the chicken is descended from the Tyrannosaurus Rex. How the geneticists figured that out, I don't know. How I figured out about the Rarcaw was I asked. Okay, they evolved on Earth. And where are the other ones? Oh, yes. The Silicon and the Silicon, I gotta check that out. I've got a couple of other ones. Which one was the back? Of course, I didn't bother marking down, so that's okay. We're just going to give that up for a moment. One thing we got to remember. Yeah, you make a comment like that, Philip. Like Philip goes, I don't want them to eat my face off. Good thought. I knew somebody that wanted to chase an Alarian into their own cave just to get to meet them. Understanding in human terms, an Alarian is a werewolf. Now, I don't know about you, but even a wild wolf, I wouldn't want to go chasing in the instant. Something tells me this isn't going to end well. But one of the neat things about, I get a kick out of it. I was talking to one of the Zotar the other day. And like he said, he loves the fact that people are afraid of reptilians. Right? Because he'll sit there and bear in mind, there's my hand. There's the height of a tall Zotar. Right there at the top of my finger. Now, you can see why, if humans are afraid of reptilians on the whole, he's a reptilian, and rest assured, the guy could not fight his way out of a wet paper bag. Well, wet one, certainly. Dry one, not so much. Okay, and we gotta realize that reptilians is not an overall race. Okay, it is a classification, just like ape is a classification for some of the simians on this planet, and monkey is the classification of the rest. Okay, so we do have in the reptilian field, you've got ones that look like lizards, ones that look like snakes, amphibians. There are even a couple that literally look like fish. Now, they aren't the ones that look like fish. Which one is it? Not this one. And I don't have a picture of these guys. There we are. The Procanan. Procanan are a reptilian, but get this. They have a split tail and their arms are tentacular, meaning their arms work like an octopus arm. Okay. These guys are alive and well on Earth. Okay. Do you have to worry about them evolving? Actually, I don't think the Procanan are. I'd have to look that up and forgot to mark it off. But, come to think, no, the Procanan's in the next book. But, are any of these guys interested in taking out humans? No, doesn't work that way. What we have to realize is much of the fear that we have been taught, as was pointed out earlier, was brought about by movies. By the way, you'll be happy to know, maybe, Godzilla himself is not based on anything I've seen. Okay, unless you call it like I did with E.T., the extraterrestrial. Unless you call it a stylized version of an Aurora car. Okay, you could qualify Godzilla that way. By the way, they did not get that size because of nuclear war. Okay, the Aurora grew that size because that's how big they are. Elephants don't get to be, I think, 6 tons because of radiation. That's just the size they are. So we are absolutely looking at races that, if you learn to talk to them, okay, in other words, figure out that talking is better than fighting, you'll fare much better. You know, one of the biggest things I look at is the number of times I get told that they're here to kill us or they're controlling everything we do. Rest assured, maybe I'm a bad example, but nobody controls what I do. Myself included most of the time. But when we start trying to cubbyhole things, which humans are famous for, okay, trying to go, all these guys are the same. No, they're not. Okay, but we do have to realize many of them look very similar. What? Can't read it and it'll blow it up. You know, something else you gotta realize is when we look at the peaceful side of it, many of these guys spend a lot of the time just relaxing, just thinking. Okay, humans should try that on occasion. But if we take a look, like a couple of dinosaurs I know of that evolved into something else. Okay, did I forget to write down? I did. I missed a couple here, so we may well have more. We may well have more reptilians I'm aware of yet. Oh, there we go. Just pieced together. The Tyrannar these guys are wonderful. Okay. They evolved from the Pachycephalosaurus. The dinosaur, if you guys don't know dinosaurs, the one that has a whole ring of bony plate on the top of the head. And yes, these guys still are the one race that can tangle with a dwarf and run headlong into it and come out of it without actually getting hurt. The difference is they put their whole body behind it. The dwarf only puts the neck muscles. Guess who's got the stronger neck? What do we got? Yeah, Joe just going sunset. I always find the sunsets are incredibly interesting to start with. But one of the things we do have to remember, and keep in mind the number of different reptilians we're dealing with. They are not all the same. They don't even have all the same outlook on life. Okay, I will tell you, if you take a look at the Sarkon, Strazazian, Tormenon, and Kamalian, they have essentially the same outlook. But you got to remember, they all descended from the Sarkon. Now, do not ask where the Sarkon originated. I don't know. But, again, if you do have questions, absolutely ask. One thing, and the other thing you gotta remember is these guys are not, by the way, all green. Okay, reptiles don't work that way. Neither do reptilians. Okay, many of them, especially when you look at the Strazazian, the whole throat collar is literally completely pigment interchangeable. They use it as an optic sense of communication. And rest assured, the reason they don't use it much, if they're not in the middle of a bad weather, is because it's really, really bright. Okay, it's kind of like having little spotlights on your throat. But they have that. The Sarkon have a less advanced version. But then the Sarkon came from a planet that was actually quite hospitable, as it were. The Strazazians come from a desert, not a wasteland, but they are literally, evolved on a planet that was primarily desert. Okay, so they developed different techniques for communication. One thing that I'm looking at, like I'm putting all this information together, I'm not sure what people are looking for. So I'm doing what I can with it. Now, I went into this one, because when I went think, then talk. When I started looking at the number of reptilian races I know of, that's what got my attention. When I looked at the people sitting there going, oh, we've got reptilians and they're going to attack. If they were going to attack, number one, do you really think they'd be telling people? Now, I can look at that and tell you they're not looking at it, but I didn't ask the reptilians. I asked the consortium itself. And they just went, well, they're welcome to it, but if they do, this is what happens. I'm like, okay, that's a pretty good deterrent. When we take a look at some of the deterrents that humans use, they don't work. If you're trying to stop, for instance, crime, in most reptilians, that's the easy part. You broke the law, we're going to eat you first, then figure out if you were guilty. Not a good place to be. Humans have this brilliant idea. Oh, let's deter the criminals. We'll put their name on the front page of every newspaper we can get a hold of. Like this is going to work like a deterrent. Reptilians are very much, if they're going into a battle, they're going in with the intention of finishing the job quickly. Then they will go in to build. Like when they go to excavate a cave, all of them, no matter their age, age will matter. But no matter what their color or their species, really, they will quite readily all go to work digging. Okay. Even the upper echelon. There is no such thing as upper class. There is such a thing as no class. But that's another issue altogether. So if you take a look at the reptilians, okay, now you watch reptilians on Earth. People go, oh, they're cold-blooded. Well, rest assured, these guys are not cold-blooded. And as far as I recall, neither are the dinosaurs. Okay, reason being, the amount they would have to eat to be functional would be a problem. Okay, But when we look at the reptilians on the whole, the big ones to concern yourself with, as I've just recently pieced together, one of your most common reptilians people have to work with are the reticulans. Okay, now let me just see here. I know I've got this marked down somewhere. Your Zetas are your scientists. The beta reticulans, and I will be getting pictures of all these guys done. The zeta reticulans I've already got. You know, one thing we have to understand, I think there is, if I recall correctly, in just the reticulans, there are 15 different races inside the reticulan race. Okay, but there's just minor skeletal differences. Much like there's a difference in skeletal appearance between an African, a Chinese, and a Caucasian. There are definitive differences in the superstructure of the skeleton. Same thing applies with the reticulans. And then of course we have the other neat little problem. Flip that back over. When you take a look at, some of the ones you won't run into, they're great for watching in movies. And by the way, what you see in movies is reasonably functional. Okay, I will tell you this. The Aurora, what you as a gamer may recognize as a wyvern, doesn't have a breath attack. They do not spit fire, acid, or anything else. But they do have a focused sonic attack that can shatter concrete. Okay, the bigger ones could actually shatter armor plating. But it's a sonic impact. Now you gotta remember, if they cut loose with that kind of noise, picture what it's going to do to a human. If it's able to fracture armor, you can bet it's going to cause a bigger problem. Now, with that in mind, okay, I suppose at this point I should probably piece them down one at a time, as it were. Okay, again, I will respond to questions, but the reality is I'm not getting a whole lot. But the Zarkon, those are the ones they do think they should run everything, but they're not interested in beating people into submission. What their modus operandi tends to be is wait till the fight's over and then go in and take control of the place in the guise of being there to help. Maybe they work for the government. What do you think? But the Zarkon are very aloof. If they talk to you, you can just go, hey, I had a good day. Because they don't usually. Okay. The Naga, like I said, they are a snake-like entity, except they happen to have arms. Okay. Now you will find them quite often in cave systems. You may find them in natural cave systems and man-made. Guess what a man-made cave system is? Or a man-made tunnel system. It's normal to find these guys down there. Honestly, from my standpoint, though, I've never actually heard of anybody catching a picture of a Naga. Okay, I've certainly heard of pictures of Teklak and of reports of them, as it were. Okay, LA, from a domestic standpoint. Now, when you look at and I'm going to deal with three at the same time. The Slazothian, the Tormodon, and the Kamalian, all they still produce eggs, but the eggs are immediately taken over into a nursery. But the difference is this: with the Srozosian, okay, the adults put the eggs in there. The youngest of the Srozosians are still in there. Okay, the newest hatchlings are still in amongst the eggs. The hatchlings know they have to push the eggs around. So they roll the eggs around to make sure they're turned. Now, there is no set. There's no set of take them and turn them 90 degrees one day and 90 degrees the next. This is something humans seem to think is necessary. Okay, what they do is the little guys tend to push them around all over the place. So the eggs are constantly in motion. But next step with that is the eggs start to hatch. Now, with the Srozosian, the hatchlings will come over. Now they're stuck in a nursery, but here's the thing: there's a shelf, a ridge there that is approximately a foot tall, maybe only 8 inches. I'm not good with height a lot of the time, but yeah, they'd be probably about 6 inches tall, 8 inches tall, the ridge, because they put the eggs in the nursery, and then the hatchlings go around pushing the eggs around. What is watched for, though, is as the eggs start to hatch, the hatchlings know their job is to help break the kids out of the new eggs, break the new kids out. So they will run to the eggs that are breaking out and open and help peel the egg open. Now, there's no problem with that. Okay, the same time that's going on, the Srozosian hatchlings that are now tall enough to climb out of the nest, okay, out of the nursery. There's another set of reptilians of the Srozosians. Next stage, you've got your adolescents, and we'll pick these little guys up and take them over into a little spot where they are being taught to feed for them and to feed themselves. As in, there is a constant supply of rodents being dropped in and other small animals for the adolescent Srozosian, for the child Srozosian, to learn how to hunt and kill. You can bet your bottom dollar that there's a mess in that section. So in the nursery, they help peel them out. And then once they're out, the hatchlings, literally the ones that are just being born, okay, they are still eating the inside of the egg. They will turn around and eat the outside of the egg as well. Okay, but that's kind of a competition, if you will, because the older ones, the ones that are what we call hatchlings, not newborns, they're also eating the broken eggs. They don't go after the actual egg, okay, until the youngster is out. Once that is done, once the hatchling can climb out, they're moved into another bin, into another nursery, as it were, where they are taught to hunt for themselves. Before they're ever taught how to read or do anything else, they're taught how to survive. Okay, and yes, if a newborn dies, and sometimes that happens, the newborn carcass is set outside. The hatchlings will pick the carcass up, drop it outside. The children, the child ones, will take that carcass and drop it into the next nursery. No, school, if you will. It is simply another type of food. Okay. Once they go through that, after they teach themselves how to hunt or how to chase down food, then they turn around and start going into the learning mathematics. Now, most reptilians work with base 8 math. In other words, the numbers from 1 to 8, instead of human standard of 1 to 10. And here's why. Most of the reptilians have 3 fingers and a thumb, aka 8. Kind of works out easily. By the way, their transition to binary is simple. Okay, but you can tell why. If you understand binary language on Earth, it's very easy to understand what you're dealing with in the way of binary language for the reptilians. Now, they start learning and start being educated in an actual school setting. But here's the thing. Okay, discipline is absolutely enforced. Okay, disruption in class is not punishable by a trip to the principal's office. It is punishable by death. Okay, now if we go over to the Tormenon and the Kamalian have a similar setup, but the Tormenon are an interesting problem. Okay, because the Tormenon, no, got that backwards. The Kamalian, when the Kamalian are hatched, they will eat each other. I gotta double check. I think I'm screwing something up here. There are times when that really becomes a problem. And where's my Tormenon? Okay, yeah, I was right in the first place. Tormenon, when the hatchlings hatch, once the egg starts to crack. Okay, now in their case, the hatchlings are picked up and moved out of the ones that are just tiny. Okay, are picked up and moved into the next bin by the adolescents because the youngsters, as soon as they hatch, will try and eat the eggs that are still there. Okay, they literally try and go through that. And so, of course, the adolescents and the children pick up the hatchlings and put them outside the nursery where they can't get back in. They are then herded into the actual nursery where they learn to feed. Okay, because they know right off the bat how to deal with eggs. The Kamalian is kind of a mix between the two, but the Kamalian are much more socially adept. Okay, but all of them essentially are taught the same idea. Bear in mind, they all come from the Sarkon. Okay, but that's where these ones from a domestic standpoint are. Now the Chitawari, okay, the Chitawari still lay eggs. Okay, usually only 2 or 3 at a time. Okay, but they are raised by their actual parents. Okay, and then other than that, their education is pretty similar in essence to the way humans are educated. But Chitawari are not violently aggressive. Now, of course, when you take a look at some of these guys, especially if you're taking not the Naga, which one is it now? The Brokainen, if I recall correctly, when they're born, they run. Like as soon as they get out of their nest, they're gone. Because their own parents will eat them. This is one of the reasons why they produce so many. You know, the Zotar are capable, they are actually not raised. Zotar are born knowing exactly how to survive. But where the Zotar turn around different is once they get to a certain point that they feel comfortable with, they will track down the local community of Zotar and get back into it. And the reason for that is because there is safety in numbers. But they have to know how to protect themselves first. You know, so we've got a lot, and this is why I say you are not dealing with people that are all connected, that are all related to each other. Okay, there's a couple I'm missing here that I haven't worked out, but understand, all reptilians, I refer to them as reptilian because that's what they look like. When you take a look at the Terranar and the Rarka, they are both descended from dinosaurs. Okay, so yeah, considering now, I don't know if humans have decided, oh, dinosaurs weren't reptiles yet. I do know there was a debate for the longest time, and they finally came to the conclusion that at that size they couldn't have been cold-blooded. Okay, but when you're looking at reptilians, they have a wide variety of behavioral patterns. And this is the thing we have to realize, is that we are not talking about one race. We are talking about a classification based on Terran appearance, not based on physiology. Okay, so we are talking about entities that come from all over the cosmos. Okay, I did wonder for a while if the Muldock were reptilian, but they are much closer to a sovine nature, or to a porcine nature rather. I used to call it sovine. Apparently, that was the wrong word. But you gotta understand, reptilians they are very organized as far as protecting each other. Unlike humans, the Srozosians have already figured out, if you're going to pick a fight, if they're big enough to pick a fight with Srozosians, you don't play games. You put as much of a direct impact as you can to take the problem out. Because if you give your opponent half a chance, the Srozosians are absolutely convinced that they will take advantage of it. And this is why you don't end up with bullies. I've run into Srozosians that think they're better than humans. Absolutely. But you will not find a bully. As far as Srozosian as far as a Srozosian to a Srozosian, or for that matter, just about any reptilian, because of the idea that most of them are raised with, that says might is right. Well, as with Christine, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. As was pointed out in A Bug's Life, one ant is not a big problem. 100 ants could become problematic. With reptilians, one may not be as big a problem. But when they all get together, and I'm talking just one species, okay, when they get together, you have a mess. Okay, and from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. When you're dealing with reptilians, understand, just calling them a reptilian is a problem. And the moment and one of the questions I now have taken to asking people that say, I study reptilians, my first question at this point is, which one of you are you studying? Okay. And, and this is where I'm actually going to be dealing with you guys, and for that matter, a lot with Storm in LA, to figure out the best way to do this. Because I will tell you, it's not right. Like on somebody else's show, it becomes an interesting setup. They'll make a comment like that, and I don't know how to ask that question without people taking offense to it. Like, okay, I studied, I've been dealing with reptilians all my life. Okay, which one? And most of them are looking at me going, well, reptilians. I'm going, we may have a problem with the all your life thing, or the term reptilian. Because like I said, I've got 18 or 19 of them here right off the bat. Okay, and I know of a few others. I just came across one that banned the notes for one that just literally resembles a turtle. but it is not Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Sorry, guys, doesn't work that way at all. Okay, but I am starting to piece these together. That said, do any of you have a suggestion? Okay, Philip's going, which ones can pass for human? As long as we realize here with Philip that in order to pass for human, they're going to have to be, on the whole, in a fully concealing either cloak or hoodie, something you cannot see their skin, because there's not a one that'll pass for human in the way of skin texture. They all are all scaled. Some of them armored, but the Chitawari, and I know Storm has a picture of the Chitawari. Okay, the Chitawari itself is one that if you can't see their face, they look very, or their hands for that matter, they look structure-wise very similar to humans. Okay, most of them will not pass. Yeah, I can't do that. So, but other than the Chitawari, none of them are. I mean, there are many that are bipedal, but again, you put a duster type cloak on type coat on them, and their tail's going to stick out the back, not concealable. You know, no, it really isn't there, Philip. Philip goes, so summer isn't a good time for them to blend in. No, and in all fairness, winter's even worse. Okay, but one of the things you got to realize is some will walk amongst you. Now, a hybrid, you might get away with a little bit of a chance. I wouldn't be, and they don't tend to take the chance on it. Because I will tell you, they go through extensive training to actually come down. Joe, the answer is absolutely yes. Okay, for instance, the Taurian ship, okay, can produce enough of a light that it will look like a glowing white orb. Okay, when you're looking at the Zotar can do it, and they just simply turn on the outside lights. Okay, that's a defensive mechanism for them. Okay, as for any of the others, like when you're looking at saucers, any of them that have a light can absolutely do it. Yeah, you're more likely to be taken, something like that. Honestly, reptilians, it's not likely you'll be catfished by a reptilian for one reason. For two. Number one, most of the apps require a photograph. They don't like photographs too terribly much. Much more importantly, you don't go to a dating app. Humans don't go to a dating app to find dinner. These guys, if they were that way inclined, which by the way, I've never heard of one doing that. Okay. Because you got to remember, reptilians on the whole, they literally respond to pheromones. You don't get much in the way of pheromonal interaction over a computer. Ow. That was painful. Now, what the heck was the name of it? I do have something rare. There. Go all the way back up. And movies, technology. I'm actually looking for a piece of information here. Oh, there we are. Oh, yeah. Blow that up so I can see it. We have one when you're looking at so-called dating apps. Okay, in the consortium, they have something that they call a TTIC. Okay, which is oh no, TTIC is that. Your Xenoaxion, there we go. The Xenoaxion intercordian is an interspecies social mixer. That's where they tend to go. Just like when we were younger, like when I was growing up, we had things we called sock hops. Okay, that's where you went out to meet people. I appreciate that, Philip. Not exactly a sneeze, but throat decided to seize. But they have the reptilians really, and many of the other races still depend on social interaction, not computerized setups. The only people that are really interested in computerized dating is the ones that are still doing genetic experimentation. And they're not looking for you to go out on dates. They're looking for blood type and cell structure. So yeah, not a real fun date if they pick you up. But when we look at these guys, they are very much a social interaction. Now, of course, when you look at the Naga, okay, a Naga, if you take a look at a human mixer, okay, a human gala, let's say you've got 100 people that are at the gala. Anybody got any idea? Actually, in this case, no. You're going to need at least a 200 square foot area to have 100 people dancing. Okay, when you're looking at the Naga, as terrible as that probably sounds, Christine, you're not actually that far off the beaten path. Not a problem, Christine. The fact of the matter is, there does have to be some levity. Okay. There really does. I have a tendency of overlooking it. And I definitely don't recognize it. My other half tells me regularly. She goes, for the amount of sarcasm you use, you'd think you'd recognize it more often. Now, I do not know the term myself, but the Naga are an interesting race. The neat thing with the Naga social gathering, you can take 100 Naga and put them in a 10 by 10 room. Okay. Probably better to put them in a 20 by 20, but they could do it in a 10 by 10. Oh, they absolutely do. They are phenomenally. Sorry about that. LA Moon was asking. The myth says the Naga has healing abilities. Is that so? The answer is absolutely yes. Okay. Not only are they extremely proficient in local herbalistic lore, but they are extreme masters at what you would know as reflexology or reflexology or pranic healing, as in healing by touch. Okay, acupuncture is another way that they look at it. But they are absolutely gifted on that capacity. However, are they going to do it just because, are they good at rearranging limbs? That's not their job, their ability. Their ability is to work with non-crippling stuff. They don't heal the blind unless it is a temporary thing that isn't totally destroyed the optic nerve. Okay, they do know how to cause regeneration in cells, as in nerve cells in relay, that sort of thing. Replacing main organs, not so much. They usually replace a main organ where, they instead of replacing the organ, they put the rest of their body on the table. And it's like, okay, this was beyond saving, so let's have dinner. They see it the same way many reptilians do. It's a natural part of life. And we can bet your bottom dollar, most humans, if grandpa dies, nobody's going to throw him on the table and go, let's have dinner. Okay, I just don't see it happen. I shouldn't say nobody. We know of a few people that would. Now, with that in mind, this young lass has drank my coffee again. I will be back momentarily.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Now, let's see what I missed. Put the coffee down before we sit down and avoid. It is, but I ran out. Philip goes, it's a perfect day for ice cream. It absolutely is, but unfortunately, I ran out of ice cream. Well, I don't know if it fixes everything. I can think of a few things that won't work well for it. Where are we here? Christy goes, I never eat it today, but today it's hot and the AC is broken. Yeah, my son went and bought himself and I can't show you it, but my son went and bought himself an air conditioner for his room and brought out the fan for me. Yeah, I can show you. That's the fan I've been using. But my son, when he bought his own air conditioner, I don't know if I can get this over there. Went and got me a slightly bigger one. So now my room's a lot cooler too. Now, one of the neat things that we look at with reptilian races, is these guys, number one, they don't pass for human. I don't know, the idea back in the movie V, they wore a human oversuit that you could pass for human, that they could actually fake it. Which I always got a kick out of, because the Chitawari are the only race whose face is almost properly withdrawn. As in, at least their skeletal structure is similar to human. Yeah, I don't know how he lucked out. They had about 11 left in. Of course, there was 11 left in one store. In an entire city of 130,000 people, one store had 11 left in stock. Everybody else was sold out. I don't know how often he phoned, how many places he phoned to find out, though. But it took a little bit of working around. The important thing from his end is he paid for it himself with the money he earned. So, of course, he also bought the fan I just showed you a while ago. But he come in, he sat in my room, and he goes, Dad, I've got an air conditioner. This is yours. You know, well, see, I work with a slightly different numbering system. I don't see 11 as lucky. Okay, 11 is understanding. Okay, but the fact that he managed to get himself an air conditioner, considering we're sitting close to 100 degrees, we're over 80 in the house, it's a bit of an interesting setup. Yeah, I've got the little fan, I've got the little one and the big one. It works out well. Well, oh, you know, Nathan, if I could repair anything, I'd probably be more inclined. Oh, the nice part there, LA, is he takes care of, like, we've split the air conditioner, the heating, the utility bill in a third. Okay. In other words, he pays a third of it, I pay a third, and my other son pays a third. So whatever's being pitched in, everybody's pitching in. Works out kind of well. I'm not about to try and figure out the exact cost of it. Joe goes, at least now, after all this time, it's safe to say I'm not crazy after all. Yeah, here's the problem, Joe. You know, granted, my shrink has started, like, I've gone to 3, had a full assessment done by 1. They've all said the same thing. You're not nuts. I'm like, bonus. Now I don't have to worry about that trip to the rubber room. Right. Unlike a buddy of mine who, when he did, I forget what it's called, but the ink block test. You know, the doc brings out the test for him, puts it in front of him, and goes, what's this look like? And my buddy looks at the guy and goes, looks like somebody clumsy was working around the paper. Well, what does it look like is on the paper? And my buddy goes, looks like ink. You know, yeah, most of it is. The unfortunate part, LA's go, most of that sort of thing is energy efficient these days. It is. The unfortunate part is the easier it gets for people to do things, the less people seem to want to do. You know, that's why they say necessity is the mother of invention. Okay? With the philosophies, you know, with the reptilians, they've got multiple different ways of dealing with the upbringing. Just like with humans, we have all kinds. Heck, Philip, if the ghosts that come through here would chip in, we could split it into 100 pieces. You know, I'd be paying, I don't know, probably 50 cents a month. Like all 3 of us would be paying like 50 cents a month. This place is an absolute nut house on occasion. But in all fairness, I'd be just as happy if the ghosts would just take over cooking for us. You know, for me, that would be great. I do know I'm done this stream. I'm going to have to go and get something to eat. But, you know, from my end, it's real simple. When you look at any of the reptilians, we're looking at multiple species. Like I said, I've got 18 listed here on the table. But in just the reticulans, I know there are at least 15 different races. Okay. And that's just in the reptilians. So we are looking at, or not the reptilians, rather, just in the reticulans. Okay. So we are looking at a lot. LA goes, I announced to my faded friends that if they continue to pay into raise hell, they'd be paying rent. All quiet most days now. Yeah, but LA, you've got this neat little advantage. When you get annoyed, or not so much, you've got the ability to reach over and beat the heck out of them. And for those of you guys that are out there thinking that this is just whatever, rest assured she can do the same thing in person and face to face if she gets backed into a corner. And if Storm doesn't beat you to death first. But we are talking metaphorically here. Uh-oh. Well, the sad part there, Philip goes, I'm literally eating ice, or as some call it, cold, crunchy water. Where I grew up, the water, if it was crunchy, also had all kinds of other neat little flavors. And so I don't tend to eat water like that. But in the dead of summer, something cold is useful. It was funny looking at ice cream last week, I think it was. We actually had an ice cream truck come through the parking lot, which worked out well for my end. I ended up buying us ice cream. By the way, in answer to your question, well, nobody technically asked it. Most reptilians do not take the ice cream. Something to do with the fact that they prefer their food still bloody, and ice cream doesn't have a lot of blood. One of the things about being a carnivore. Where are we here? Oh, okay. Now, as you can tell, and I would really appreciate it, guys, if, when you see somebody starting to talk about, oh, the reptilians are doing this, ask which one. Okay, what race? And they come back with the reptilians. You just take a look at that post and go, doesn't hold enough water to work with. Okay, because I'm telling you, there is so much misinformation and, yes, fear-mongering that is still going on based on the reptilian genome. And in my opinion, it stems back from it stems all the way back to all the way back to the 70s. Okay, and in all fairness, before that, because people have been seeing reptilians forever. Something to do with the fact they evolved here. Some of them did. Now what we're working on with many of them is just trying to understand what is driving them. Like, we know for an absolute certainty that the Zotar are non-violent. Okay. And then of course, when you take a look at the Tormenon, depends entirely on what you pay them. If you pay them what they ask, they will be absolutely violent. Okay. But they will not agree to something that they don't feel they can win. You're more than welcome to ask them, absolutely. Suzosians cannot be bribed, period. The Chitawari, it's an individual thing. Okay, Chitawari are about as close to what humans are, aside from they give birth by egg. Uh-oh. Oh, that's terrible. LA goes, Chris, you're an enabler. It enabled me to go get ice cream too. See, I can't go get ice cream. I think that might have had to do with the fact I ate about a gallon of it today. That's what I wanted to. But one thing you got to remember, and this is where it gets to be complicated. Okay, the number of people that are out there still propagating, I've been in touch with the king of whatever, or with the commander in chief of the reptilian army, and they're getting ready to attack. They are full of it. Okay, now you can absolutely go with the idea, well, what if they aren't? Not to worry, if they're not full of it, we'll be dead before we know about it. But nobody's coming here to wipe out Earth. And no, contrary to popular consensus, Earth is not rising to the fifth dimension. Or the seventh, or whatever number they want to use. Earth is stuck in the third dimension. Now, people are evolving. Okay, I'd like to see we're getting more intelligent, but I really argue that point. Angel, long time no see. And guys, I did notice Angels, and correct us if we're wrong here, Angels. Gone back to live viewing and live. You know, the neat part about it, you know, when we look at the reptilians, the moment somebody says, absolutely, do not make the mistake. I got told this point blank. You don't respond to it. You don't make a comment to it. Simply ignore it. Okay, because apparently, and maybe I was misinformed. Oops. Well, that was kind of annoying, but hey, welcome to tech. In any event, you know, when you're looking at these postings, we're still hung up on ice cream here. I don't have any. I'm jealous. No, I'm not. But you get the idea. But no, it would be really appreciated. Yeah. It would be really appreciated if people, when you start seeing somebody going, you know, this is what the reptilians are planning. They're planning on taking us over, or they're running the monarchy. They are now replacing presidents and what have you. Ask them which race. to start with. Now, personally, I'd be asking you what drugs they're on, but, or if I can get some of the ones they've got, because they're good. The reality of it is that none of the member races of the consortium would even try and take over a position of power. It's a good way to get themselves terminated. Not to mention half of their population. One of the things we have to realize, and this is why I say whatever questions you've got, ask. There's a reason I tell you I don't research. Okay? And I mean, you've seen how much fun I have trying to look up little bits and pieces of information, even in this. And I wrote the thing. Okay? My memory is not that good. Honestly, LA, if LA goes, I think they get bored with it all, the whole conspiracy thing. Problem is, people keep buying into it. Okay, but if as a community, and I'm going to refer to the community in this room, okay, if as a community, when people start posting, oh, I got worried, the reptilians are attacking, or any race for that matter. I saw one the other day that said, I forget which group it was, that the Fae were mobilizing to take back Earth. And like 3/4 of the Fae don't talk to each other. Okay. And 90% of them have no combat capability. They are here to take care of a planet. It's kind of like going, oh, all the farmers back in the Middle Ages, okay, all the farmers are going to revolt and they're going to storm a castle. Okay, now that'd be great if they were going to pelt it with eggs, except they keep those for eating. But what I got told is very simple. If you even go like, or you make a comment, ask a question, you're giving these people the recognition they're looking for. Now, this is why I am already starting to draft up some stuff on that end. Yeah, absolutely, Angels. Angels goes, yes, it's very frustrating when folks state the Earth is going to be attacked. It becomes a huge long sigh for me. I agree. I like any of that cold stuff, except I'm not a fan of fudgesicles. Remember that thing about not being a fan of chocolate? Fudgesicles fall into that same category. But yeah, if you see somebody posting anything like that, don't bother commenting on it. I'm already drafting a couple of letters to put up about a few certain things. And certainly in positive perspectives, I'll be dealing with it in much more direct option. I'm just trying to figure out how to phrase it. So first and foremost, I don't get hung out to dry. I don't get, so to speak, I don't get crucified for opening my mouth. Been there, done that. Okay, now we aren't talking this lifetime, but I have been ostracized. Our whole family walked out of the church because of something that was done. But I'm trying to figure out how to politely say, would you mind looking at the facts before you jump to the conclusion that we're going to get wiped out? Okay. I've already dealt with it a while ago as far as how that would all go about. Did you realize, by the way, that humans know of a wavelength that if they pull a trigger on, if you watch, what was it? If you watch X-Men Days of Future Past, they show a weapon where they hit the button and everybody passed out like that. That is a real Terran-based weapon. By a simple sound, they can knock everybody in the neighborhood out. Okay, drop them into unconsciousness. Understand, the off-worlders have better tools. Okay, they got more effective, more refined tools. Okay, I saw one weapon they use that literally coagulates an entire blood supply in one person. By the way, this causes an instant heart attack. It's kind of like taking all your blood and turning it into concrete. Doesn't work well for the circulation. But whenever you see somebody stating the world is going to be attacked, it's going to be the biggest fleet assault ever. I saw one the other day, and somebody was posting that that all the major superpowers were getting together to fend off an alien attack. I'm like, guys, are you really that arrogant? Okay, and I'm trying to find a polite way to put this. I've yet to do it. So I'm trying to be careful on that end. But rest assured, the moment somebody says reptilians, if they are saying reptilians and they give some sort of definer, as in, let's say these reptilians, these reptilians are 8 feet tall. At least you're looking at a ballpark. Okay. And Angels goes, fear-based equals fear-mongering. Absolutely it does. And yet, humans on the whole are buying into it. Okay. Do I have a problem with it? Absolutely. But that said, I also understand giving people false hope doesn't work well. I could be wrong. Absolutely, I could be wrong. For those of you that think, oh, what you're saying is way too idealistic. Absolutely, it could be. If I'm wrong, you'll be dead. It won't matter. If I'm not wrong, you'll be alive. Okay. Now, if I'm wrong and you fire the first shot, you've started a war. If I'm wrong and if I'm right and you fire the first shot, you've also started a war. Okay. Shooting is a lousy way for peace discussions. Okay. And rest assured, most of these people, they'll tell you they're reptilians. They got no details on anything, including whether or not their jaw is jutted out, how many fingers they have, whether or not they have a tail, whether or not they have wings. These people on the whole do not have specifics. Okay. And that becomes a problem. Now, I am not, like I said, I'm not the researcher. Okay. I am simply working off of what I've actually physically seen. Okay. Which is why I ended up with this. Actually, why I ended up with this, with Race of the Worlds, was literally because of the number of requests I got for it. Now, that in mind, yep, we are hitting there. The less we pay attention to the fear-mongering and start at, if you're going to ask questions, ask ones that make sense. Okay. For instance, they're gearing up for an attack. Why do they have to gear up? They've been here for centuries. Why do they have to gear up now? Okay. I will tell you. I may have that answer for you. I don't, but with this little time left, Angels, if you would be kind enough, I know you've got my contact info. Drop me a note, and I will be happy to look into it because I just came across a few others while I was going through this. Okay, 8 foot tall female reptilian type. I saw bent backwards legs, pale beigeish brown, and pale beigeish to pale brown. Okay, skin. I may well have them. I just came across a bunch. And like I said, I'm in the middle of putting a second book together that's already got close to another 60 races. Okay, I thought I had over 60. Turned out I had a couple of dukes. Yeah, well, that was painful. Anyway, guys, we are down under the 5-minute mark here. And with that in mind, I do want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Love the questions. And yes, I've got more going on than I've got time to explain. But that said, I will see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going after, what are we looking at? Oh, yes. You're going to love tomorrow. Okay, I was going to avoid this, but it happens to be one of the most dominantly well-known multi-species, multiracial species that humans know about. Tomorrow, we are dealing with, you got it, humans. You're going to love me for that one. Probably not, but what the heck. That said, I will be back again tomorrow, okay, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. PST. Look forward to seeing you all there. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.